John Callebs, retired teacher from the Richmond schools, 44 years, and the reason I decided to go 44 years is because of Dan Issel, who played for University of Kentucky, was number 44, and I thought that'd be a good number to go to. But seriously, I thought I'd just talk about a couple things here. I've had a long career, and it's been a blessing. The Lord kind of led me to New Richmond back in the day, and just want to tell you some couple of stories and about how it came to be, and then how a teacher will influence a student. And I realize that as I get older more and more. So I know I came to New Richmond 44 years ago, and I was thinking about going to the Army, but it's either the Army or New Richmond. So not that the Army is, I know it's a noble thing and everything, and I almost decided there, but I had a little baby, and she started crying, and I decided to come to New Richmond. And when I was hired by a great superintendent, Mr. Robert Tucker, and he goes, you can have Monroe, you can have a job out at Pierce, you can have a job at Moscow Elementary. And I said, well, you know, I appreciate that. I said, he said, well, one thing about Moscow, though, if you go to Moscow, you have to coach. And I said, they have to coach? That's what I want to do. I want to coach. So I'll take the Moscow job. And he goes, well, we're going to pay you $5,800 to teach. I said, man, that's big money. And he said, we're going to pay you $200 to coach. I said, you're going to pay me to coach? I thought I'd have to pay you to coach. And I've always wanted to be a coach. So I started at Moscow, and the coaching and the parental involvement there was a great thing for me. So I think what helped me have a long career was 4 years in the elementary, and then 20 years at the middle school, and then 20 years at the high school. So I just know when I was a young teacher, and you know, I went to school early because my mom kicked me out of the house early, and then I graduated as a younger member of my senior class. But I was pretty young when I started, so Moscow was a great place for me to learn the craft, so to speak. And I just remember we didn't have very much money, but I came down to New Richmond High School there once to lift weights. And they had a weight room, and I'm in there, and I'm kind of full of myself because I had my high school football jersey on. Now, my high school football jersey, that's number 88, and it's blue and gold. But the blue is kind of a purplish blue. And so, you know, I'm in there lifting weights, got my high school jersey on, and Mr. Ron Bird, you know, the legend Ron Bird, the greatest coach of all time, and he comes in, he goes, hey, Ron Bird, he says, University of Alabama, Crimson Tide, you know, Bear Bryant, national champions, undefeated season, got my name on a big plaque down there. He's the greatest team of all time. And I'm young and cocky and arrogant, and I go, well, John Callebs, Knox Central High School Panthers, 7-2-1 my senior year. And you know, I don't know what Ron Bird thought, but I just thought that was a funny story. He thought I played for LSU because I had a blue and gold shirt on, but it was really about Panthers, Knox Central Panthers. He thought I was going to say LSU or something. So that was kind of a humorous story when I started out there. But I just wanted to talk about how some teachers have an effect on students, and if it's okay if I meander back to my younger days, I had a 5th grade teacher, Miss Nanny McCormick, and I remember all my teachers. And Nanny McCormick, she was kind of a little hefty lady, and but we don't think about that back in 5th grade. And I just remember getting in trouble one time, and back then they gave you SWATs. So I took my SWATs, and then Miss McCormick gave me a big hug and said she loved me and she was sorry. And I love the lady. I really appreciated her and her guidance. And then in the 7th grade, you know, my dad died in a tragic accident. There's 6 kids, and my mom's trying to raise 6 kids, and I'm next to the oldest. And so I was kind of without guidance from the 7th grade on. And I got in high school, and I had this teacher, Miss Roberts, in English. And Miss Roberts, I was not a very nice kid. I was kind of like a lot of kids we have today, but you know, there's hope for them. And so I was in there real cocky and arrogant and everything. And so she was giving back test papers one day, and she goes, I was sitting on 3rd row back, 2nd row over, and she goes, Carolyn, nice job. Carolyn sat in the front seat. I said, nice job, 95%, that's really good. And then she goes, Earl Campbell, good buddy of mine, said, hey Earl, pretty good, man, 94, that's awesome. And then she said, they called me Johnny C back then. They say, hey, Johnny C, man, you just can't do this stuff. Gosh, that just deflated me because I'm a cocky, arrogant 14 or 15-year-old kid there. And I go, I hate Miss Roberts. I can't believe she don't think I can do this. And so my goal was to beat Earl Campbell on all the tests from that point on. And it's just, I don't know if you can motivate kids nowadays like that by telling them they can't do it, but she did motivate me. And so my goal was to beat Earl. And I didn't care about beating Carolyn. She was pretty good looking. But Earl, I wanted to beat Earl. So the next Thursday night, I stayed up all night studying for Miss Roberts' big test on Friday. And I stayed up all night. And I came in Friday, and all the kids would go, hey, Johnny C, did you study for this big test here? And I said, I hate Miss Roberts. I'm not studying for this test. But in essence, I had studied for it. So I studied for the test. I thought I did pretty good. And then Monday comes around, and she goes, Carolyn. And by the way, Carolyn, she's my first wife right now. So I married her. So Carolyn, nice job, 96. And Earl, nice job, man, you're great, just 97. Johnny C, what's this, 100? And I'm thinking, hey, I'm doing pretty good. And then she goes, who did you copy off of? And I'm going, oh my goodness, I really don't like her now, but I'm going to beat Earl every time the rest of the year. And after as time went by, she learned to like me, and I learned to like her too. But she straightened me out in high school. And from that point on, my grades were very good. And then the third teacher I'd like to talk about is my high school football coach. And it was Coach Dooney Black. And Coach Black he played at East Tennessee State, and he was a running back there, and he's a great coach. And he's one of the first coaches in southeastern Kentucky to bring the punt return wall. Now it's commonplace, but back then it wasn't. So we scored a lot of touchdowns on the punt return and building the wall, and the kickoff wall too. But Coach Black, I remember my freshman year, we had phys ed and first semester and health second semester, and there's like 30 guys in there. And Coach Black I just admired him because I didn't have a dad at this time, and I was young. I was the youngest guy in my class, and he goes, Johnny C, this is like August 15th. He said, how come you're not out for football? I said, well, Coach Black, he said, I'm playing Pee-wee football, because it was based on age, it wasn't based on school. And he goes, why are you playing Pee-wee? You can play high school football here. And I said, well, I'm a big star in Pee-wee. I'm going to play another year of Pee-wee football. So we go through that, and then the next spring there, we had spring practice there, and March 1st started spring practice, and all winter Coach Black says, hey, you're coming out now, aren't you? And I said, yeah, I'll be out there, Coach. I'm going to be a star on the team. And I bragged my buddies and everything. And I remember my persona was I was cocky, and so I bragged about it. And I remember the first day of practice, I go out there, and I about died the first day, and I puked 3 or 4 times, and back then you weren't allowed to have water, you were a sissy, and so I was just dying. And I go home and I tell Mom, I said, Mom, I hate football. And then that night I woke up at night, both my legs cramped up with Charlie horses, and I'm saying, Mom, just cut my legs, I can't stand it. And she said, well, John, why don't you just quit? And I said, I can't quit. I've bragged so much, I have to stay with it. And then the next day I got sick again, but not as bad, and then I got better and better. And I thought I had a pretty good high school career there, and I really appreciated Coach Black's guidance there. And he was always good to me, and he gave me that father figure I didn't have. And I remember one more thing about him is in the spring we had health, and there's 30 boys in there. And Coach Black one day he says, how many of you guys use deodorant? And I, to be honest with you, I didn't. But I saw some guys I knew that raised their hand. I said, well, I'll raise my hand because that must be the right thing to do. And then Coach Black, he goes, talks about the benefits of using deodorant and everything after that with that day's lesson. So I go home and I tell Mom, I said, Mom, I've got to get this thing called deodorant. And I just want you to know I've been using it ever since. So Coach Black changed my whole life there. And then, I just had a wonderful teaching career at New Richmond. And everybody goes, they go, what do you teach? They go, what do you teach? And I always say, I teach students. And the subject matter is not that important, but the kid is very important. So I'd just like to thank everybody, and New Richmond's the greatest, and once a Lion, always a lion, and always be #1 in my heart. Thank you.